Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of a special Tuesday night edition of Talking Wrestling TXN. It is Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio, and we will just dive right on in. We are going to start with AEW Collision, and then we will be doing the All Out event that went down this past week. But the big story, obviously, coming out of AEW is the firing of CM Punk, predicated to what happened at All In at London, an altercation that he had with Jack Perry, led to some heated exchanges at a certain point. Then there was supposedly an incident with him and Miro, and he also got into it with Tony Khan. We don't know at what point, what was, if it was even a verbal spat, if it was a I don't know, what went down between him and Tony Khan. However, on Saturday afternoon, word got out that CM Punk was terminated by All Elite Wrestling. Multiple sites was reporting this, and let me tell you, this did not sit well with some AEW fans. Some felt like he deserved to be fired. Others were very angry with this announcement because at the time, we found out that there was no punishment at the time for Jack Perry for his involvement in the incident. However, we've been told now that Jack Perry's been suspended indefinitely. However, in my personal opinion, I feel like Jack Perry is only going to probably be suspended for a month, and then we'll probably be coming back to AEW. Um, and by all attempted purposes, by all media reports and whatnot, apparently Jack Perry was the instigator. He started the whole fight more than anything else, stemming from comments that were made by CM Punk that kind of triggered the whole kit and caboodle, as we would like to say, and led to the brouhaha that ensued after the fact. So, yeah, and oddly enough, where was the AEW Collision show? Oh, just at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. CM Punk's own personal backyard, and obviously IWC Wrestling Capital of the World. So you can already tell we're probably in for a very interesting AEW collision. So it does start out with Tony Khan cutting a promo. Well, not really a promo, but kind of clearing the air and basically saying that, what let down, why he made the decision to fire CM Punk. Well, not the fans were not buying it. He got booed out of the building. Basically, I get why Tony Khan wanted it to come out and make a statement, letting the world know what's going on, why he did it. But there's some things that are meant to be left, in the back. Never should have seen the light of day. Never should have came out because all that just makes you is petty. That makes you looking like a victim that, you had to make this decision. You had to fire CM Punk. You felt that for the first time in your AEW career, you felt in danger of what was going on with the whole situation. It makes you a weak, pathetic owner for a company. Vince McMahon never does this in WWE. I never hear Dana White do this in UFC. Billy Corgan never does this in Ring of in NWA. I've never heard this from Joaquin Rodan of AAA or anybody from any wrestling organization in the entire freaking world. I feel like I know you wanted to nip it in the bud. I know you wanted it to make it, you wanted the fans to understand why you came up with this decision and why you said what you said, but things are meant to be left in the locker room area. There's no reason for any of this to come out to shed a light on a horrific incident. That's just my personal thoughts. So, Anthony Florio, if you want to go and take this, be my guest. If you don't, we could just move on and go right into the show. It's up to you.
No, MF. I owe it to our fans to talk about this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to honor my, my responsibility and my commitment to our fans.
Your journalistic duties as we would normally do,
which I take very seriously, as you know. So, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right here and right now. So, this is my opinion about the whole thing. It sucks that it happened. I'll be honest with you. I hate that it had to come down to this. But at the same time, Tony Khan had to do what was best for the company. I understand it makes him come off looking weak and, like a little whiny boy, like a whiny kid, the whole 9 yards. I get that. And I understand where you're coming from, MF. I 100% agree with your sentiments on that. But that's from a personal side. But on the professional side of things, I do commend Tony Khan, because I mean, MF, we should know. We had a situation like this. Where we had to let we had to cut ties with a certain someone, and it was hard. Believe us, we didn't want to do it, but at the end of the day, we had no choice, and it broke my damn heart that we had to do it, but because of how valuable he was. But it's the same thing with CM Punk. He was a valuable asset, and at the end of the day, Tony Khan had to do what was best for the business, and I do commend him for doing that. I mean, just like with our show, and just like with that company, you want to have a safe environment, an environment where everybody gets along, helps each other out, and the whole 9 yards, and is always there when someone needs them. We don't need, backstage drama. We don't need, to play the game of politics. And, it is what it is. And where he goes from here, I don't know. But, let's immediately dismiss the WWE thing. He's never going to go back to WWE. They are never going to bring him back. I know, never say never, but we don't ever see it happening. Does he go back to Ring of Honor? I mean, well, then again, Tony Khan owns that, so I don't think Tony Khan would welcome him to Ring of Honor.
No, I think he severed ties with both AEW and Ring of Honor, so I think both those companies are out.
So that would leave maybe NWA. That would leave Impact Wrestling, where he did start. He did start in TNA.
Yeah, he did.
In the early days. There's always a chance he goes there. Or what about Japan? I mean,
I think Japan would be a little more dicier now because of the fact that AEW does have a working relationship with New Japan.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, it's possible. If they want to do it, they could do it. New Japan would just have to bring. New Japan could actually have them do like the New Japan Strong shows that is based out of California. So I mean, they if they want to use CM Punk exclusively for New Japan, I mean, I don't think there would be much of an argument. They just probably would not. They probably just would not make them available for the AEW shows.
And Michael Bullock, you have the floor.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing, Florio. I mean, but the thing is, Florio, do you really see any wrestling company wanting to touch him after?
With the baggage that he has. I mean,
I kind of feel like, because remember, about a year ago, And this is being reported, so this is an actually legitimate fact. When he had that first dust up with AEW, there was talk of him going back to WWE. As a matter of fact, that meeting that they had with CM Punk and had with WWE earlier this year was actually them talking about maybe him coming back to WWE at the Royal Rumble back in January.
But I really don't see that happening. I mean, do you really think that Triple H is gonna want this guy? I mean, especially not only after when he walked out on the company back in 2014, but for what's happened not only the first time in AEW, but now the second time.
Well,
do you really think them or any other wrestling company is going to want to deal with this baggage?
The thing is, I think you have to take the heart and the emotion out of it. If you're thinking of it as a business standpoint, I hate to say this, CM Punk is money, CM Punk is ratings, CM Punk is the reason why AEW Collision actually was doing really good in ratings. They were the reason why that the qualities of the show were actually better than anything that AEW was producing at the time. Now, we're going to have to wait and see what it's going to look like now and in the future. Because now this is going to be the real litmus test for AEW. What is Collision going to look like? What is Dynamite going to look like? Are the ratings going to hold up? And importantly, what is the attendance going to look like now that Punk is gone? This is going to be the real test for AEW. Can they survive now there's no more CM Punk? Because let me tell you, prior to Punk getting announced to these shows, the Collision numbers were not looking good. They looked average to mediocre at best. So we're going to find out right now. We're going to find out right now what AEW has.
Yeah, this is going to be something that we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, yep. I mean, either way, right now, the future. I mean, right now, AEW, right now, I mean, without CM Punk, I think it's looking bleak as far as I'm concerned. I mean, as of right, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Dynamite tomorrow night and with Collision on Saturday without CM Punk, because this is going to be the true test for them, because you don't have CM Punk anymore. And I'll tell you this also, I commend Tony Khan for doing this. I mean, the thing is also, he made the announcement in front of CM Punk's hometown, Chicago. I mean,
balls.
That to me, I mean, that's got to take guts and balls to do that. I mean, he could have waited until another AEW event wasn't in Chicago, and for him to say, okay, CM Punk is no longer with this company. But for him to do it in Chicago, that takes guts and that takes balls. And maybe this is where Tony Khan put his big boy pants on and said, you know what? I'm not waiting any longer. I don't care if we're in Chicago. I got to do what's best for the company.
Yeah.
And if it means I get criticism from the CM Punk fans, and especially those in Chicago,
so be
that's
it.
Something I think he was willing to sacrifice.
I would have too. And
I heard that when there was a video of him coming out and addressing it, and the Chicago crowd was literally all over him.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, does that come as a surprise? No.
No.
I mean, that Chicago crowd, it's like they're basically saying, hey, you know what? We don't care what AEW or any other wrestling company feels about CM Punk. He is our hero. He is our hometown bully, and we're gonna stand by him no matter what.
And basically, there was a lot of fans, and I'm gonna say this, that basically has said that they're done with AEW. There's some fans out there that is saying, I'm not watching AEW ever again. That they jumped the shark when they fired CM Punk. But like I said, what's gonna be very interesting and very telling is what now they do with Jack Perry. They got to punish him, severely, because many people, and according to the report, Perry was the instigator of the incident. He needs to be punished accordingly. If they give him a slap on the wrist, and from what I'm hearing right now, he's been suspended indefinitely. But there was a few fans out there that was demanding him to be fired. Now, the problem is that this was his first offense. He's never had any other incidences with AEW, but was this severe enough in the eyes of AEW's the disciplinary committee that this should warrant a firing? That's going to be the big question now, the $1 million question for AEW.
Yeah. Exactly, and the thing is, I mean, and this is the thing I'm worrying about, Fletch. If he gets like a slap on the wrist, like where to the point he doesn't get fired, oh man, I just can't imagine what the reaction's going to be, not only from the people in Chicago, but all the CM Punk fans around the world. They would be like, they're gonna come out with the tiki torches and the and the pitchforks. They're gonna demand Tony Khan's head.
I already know one fan that's already demanding that Jack Perry deserves to be fired. I already know one fan that's like, all right, you fired CM Punk. What are you gonna do with Jack Perry? And I already put out a statement saying, well, I heard Perry's gonna be suspended for a month. That person's reaction, that's not enough.
Oh man, but either way, this is a no-win situation for Tony Khan. No. Because it's like no matter what he does, I mean, even if it's like you said, suspension for a month, to CM Punk fans, that is not enough. That is not enough. I mean, you're like, wait a minute, you just fired CM Punk, who didn't even start this, and yet you're keeping the guy who started all this?
Yep.
Yeah, that's either way, it's a no-win situation for Tony Khan, but you know what? He had to do, in the case of CM Punk, he had to do something. I mean, there was no way. I mean, look, CM Punk the wrestler is good, but CM Punk the politician is the one we can't stand. So
ranks right up there with the Hulk Hogan's and the Bill Goldbergs. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So Tony Khan had to make a stand. He had to make a point here, and he did. So I commend him for it, but I'm going to be quite honest with you. This was a no-win. This is a no-win situation for Tony Khan.
Yeah, no doubt. And this stinks. I mean, and the thing is that for AEW, this could not have come at a worse time because of the fact that, remember, we were praising the All In from Wembley Stadium. Well, I mean, it broke all kinds of records. They had 81,000, which is the most paid attendance for any wrestling event, ever. I mean, now I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, what about no? They broke the record. They hold the record for the biggest, largest wrestling event ever. Because unlike the SummerSlam or any of the other events, they bloated the numbers. Except the '92 SummerSlam was legitly 80,000. That number was legit. There was no faking that number. You're not allowed to fake the number in Europe. That was the actual raw number. So that the actual number for AEW, that was legit as well. The 81,000 was legit. So you can't fake the numbers like WWE likes to do in the United States. Sometimes they throw a number out, and you're like, all right, that's about, maybe that is, and then we find out later, no, that number is not the actual number. That this is the actual number from paid attendance. So
and I'm gonna say one more thing before we move on here. I mean, these next few weeks, I think, is going to determine what happens with AEW, because let's not forget another big thing that's coming up, guys. Grand Slam. That's the thing. I mean, this is going to be telling with Grand Slam. I mean, how it does now with CM Punk gone.
Absolutely.
If by the end of September, if the ratings, let me finish here, please. If the ratings aren't good for AEW without CM Punk these next few weeks, Tony Khan and his company is in trouble. But like I said, we're gonna have to wait and see. Let's see what happens this month before we can officially say AEW's in trouble, or if they're going to be on the rise. This is a turning point for Tony Khan's AEW. That's all I'll say on that.
All right.
Good enough.
I'm content with that. All right, guys. So we're just gonna dive right into the in-ring action. Started out with the 6-man tag team fight, as it was for the AEW Trios title, as it was the Acclaim and Billy Gunn, as they put their newly won titles on the line against Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Daniel Garcia. There is no time of the fall. For all the AEW Collision matches, I don't have any time for the fall, so I'm just gonna free swing it. I don't care. And what we're gonna do is the winners of the bout were the Acclaim and Billy Gunn. Look, this was a routine Acclaim match. There wasn't really anything spectacular about. It was a solid victory. It was a good match. I could give this about 2.5 to 3 stars. So Anthony, I give it to you.
Once again, I come to the rescue because I have the times of all the falls, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm on top of everything tonight. I don't mess around. So here we go. 8.5 minutes.
Thank you, Florio.
Of course, happy to help. You guys know that. 8.5 minutes is the time of the fall here. So let's base it off of that. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. While the match may have started with some fun moments to pop the crowd, it eventually turned into a solid trios match that showed off the abilities of both teams. And I'm just going to leave it at that. We got a lot to get into, so I'm not going to do my after-match observations like I usually do. We're going to put those on the burner for tonight due to time constraints because of that long discussion we just had. So I'll leave it at that. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. Michael Bullock, it is yours. Time of the fall, 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3 for me. I mean, it was a fine match. I mean, it was nothing really that special, but the right team went over here. So, like I said, and like you said, Floyd, I'm not going to waste any time either. I mean, we got a lot to talk about, so let's move on, Fletch.
All right, next up after that we had was the Aussie Open, and they went up against Nick Wayne and Commander. It was Aussie Open winning the match. So Anthony Florio, time, and give me a rating.
Even 8 minutes, the time of the fall here. Both teams had plenty of time to make sure they were able to hit some double team spots and give all 4 men time to shine on their own. Nick Wayne looked good and has clearly been gaining more confidence with each match. Commander has been impressive in every showing, so he made a good partner for the newcomer. However, Aussie Open just had too much size and experience as a team to overcome. Davis and Fletcher scored the win, helping them bounce back after losing the Ring of Honor tag titles to Adam Cole and MJF as part of the 0 Hour at All In. And Darby Allin tried to explain to Nick Wayne why he forgave AR Fox so quickly, but before Nick Wayne could respond, Christian Cage showed up with Luchasaurus. So that's really all there is here. Another 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts? 8 minutes, even 8 minutes, time of the fall.
Yeah, 2.5 stars for me on this one. I mean, like you said, this was another solid match here, and that's all I'll say on it. So it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, 2.5 stars. We'll just move on along. Then we had a 6-woman tag team fight, as it was all 3 members of the Outcast, Saraya, the new AEW Women's World Champion, Toni Storm, and Ruby Soho. They went up against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Hikaru Shida, and the TBS champion, Chris Statlander, the Face Squad, winning the match. Anthony, time of the fall?
8 minutes, 11 seconds.
And Michael Bullock, it is yours.
2.5 stars, and that's pretty much been the theme so far when it comes to these matches here. No surprise here with the face team going over, because here's the thing. The Fallout the Outcasts they got so much problems on their team. Especially ever since Saraya won the title, and let's not forget what Toni Storm, of course, tried to do in front of Saraya's hometown when she went after the neck, and the same neck that forced her to retire. And then Ruby Soho tried to stop her from doing that, and she got nailed. So a lot of falling out from this. So the problems for the Outcast definitely are continuing here. So 2.5 stars. Fletch, it is yours. As I like to say, there's still some problems with the Outcast.
Yeah, there definitely still is. 2.5 stars, no doubt about it. Solid matchup. And not only that, but there is not really any unity between Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida either. So there's definitely a little bit of some avenues where this could go. We could have Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida possibly in a future match. You got Saraya and Toni Storm in a future match for the AEW Women's World Title. So there's some multiple storylines going around here. Especially with the AEW women's division. And that's something that we haven't really been talking about as much in the last few weeks, is that there's actually storyline progression in the AEW women's division. Well done. Florio, it's yours.
Another 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. Theme of the show so far. Let's see. All right. All 6 of these women have been intertwined for weeks, so this match dealt with multiple storylines at once. Everyone looked good and did a great job putting the TBS title feud on display without overshadowing the women's title storyline. It felt like we got to see just about every combination of opponents before Ruby Soho scored the win on Britt Baker, thanks to some help from Saraya and her spray bottle. The finish was repetitive, especially after what we saw at All In, but most of the match was decent. 2.5, 2 3/4, and Meth, let's move on.
All right, and with that said, we do now leave on with the main event. So there was a match, Powerhouse Hobbs. It was a squash fight. I'm not even gonna dignify it at all. 10 seconds actually on my end. So, okay. But in the main event, it was Dax Harwood versus Jay White. Jay White winning the match. Floyo, time?
20 minutes and 9 seconds.
Fight of the night. Nothing more to say on that. This was at least 3.5. If you want to make an argument for 4, all right, I'll give you it. But I don't really give a damn because I don't like that arrogant, the South African known as Jay White. You already know my little dislike and disdain for that man. So nothing more surprising.
And I don't know why. He's hella talented.
Yeah. He's an arrogant bleep. I'll leave it at that. So, Florio, it's yours.
You know, I gotta be Jesse the Gorilla on this one. So, we all know MF is not a Jay White fan. I am. I mean, I love the body of work. I mean, if I was a heel, that's exactly how I would look. I mean, dude's a rock star. I'm telling you. 4 to 4.25 stars is the correct rating for this match. This match had a little too much going on outside the ring, but for the most part, this was the best choice to book for the main event. Jay White and Dax Harwood are both great at what they do, so they had no problem churning out a great performance. And Jay White was able to get the win by hitting the Blade Runner to end a fantastic bout. And MF conveniently forgot to mention this because of his hatred for Jay White taking over here. Jay White just pinned Dax Harwood. What does that mean, gentlemen? Championship committee moment. I think Jay White and Juice Robinson are in line for another title shot down the road. And if it's anything like what we saw almost 2 months ago on that Collision in Calgary, which is our match of the year right now, you know we're going to be in for something just as special or even more special. Who knows? And we're all for it. 4.25 stars. That's my rating for this fight of the night here. No doubt about it. So, Michael Bullock, nothing left to say except championship committee moment. Jay White just pinned one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions in 20 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah, 4 stars for me. Fight of the night. I mean, this was an unbelievable match. I mean, look, say what you want about Jay White. I know how Fletch feels about him. I'm not even gonna go against what he said. I mean, I do feel. I mean, look, he may be arrogant, but he's a damn good wrestler. That's all I'll say. But yeah, this is definitely a big win for Jay White, and now, yeah, I think it's a championship committee moment for him and Juice Robinson, because when you pin one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, yeah, you know that's a championship committee moment. So there's really nothing more for me to say except 4 stars, fight of the night. Let's get into our overall thoughts, and then of course we'll get right into All Out.
Yeah, Anthony Florio, you lead off on your overall thoughts for Collision.
No matter what happened on this episode of Collision, the focus coming out of it was always going to be the CM Punk situation. Tony Khan was smart to not only record the announcement and play it at the very start. Just give me one moment here. Yep. Tony Khan was smart to not only record the announcement and play it at the top of the show, but he also addressed the live crowd before the show began to take the heat off the wrestlers. Jay White versus Dax Harwood was easily the best thing we saw all night, but a lot of the segments to set up matches at All Out were good too. How Collision looks moving forward is still a mystery, but with the Young Bucks showing up on the first show after CM Punk's exit, it looks like the idea of having 2 rosters might be completely dead in the water now, but we'll see. I'll give it about 7.5 for this Collision, so not much more to say. I started this, right? So
yeah, it's my turn.
Yep, so it goes to Michael Bullock here. 7.5.
It goes
up. Yeah, 7. Yep. Yeah, 7.5 for me. I mean, yeah. I mean, the matches were definitely good, but everybody knows the whole talking the whole conversation is going to be about what happened with CM Punk, and like we said earlier, I mean, the recording and him addressing it, well, right before the show was pretty much like you said, take the heat away from the wrestlers, and so yeah, I mean, all in all, I thought it was a good show. So 7.5. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, no, 7.5. There's no doubt about it, man. It's crazy, man. I mean, with everything that went down, I thought they did a good job with it. So now we do indeed move on. It's time for the AEW All Out, and here we go. So 3 pre-show matches just to get to whet the appetite, y'all. So it was a budget over charity battle royale, and it was Adam Hangman Page winning the whole thing. The last man he defeated was Brian Cage. Total fall was 13 minutes and 15 seconds. Then we had a 6-woman tag team fight, as it was Hikaru Shida, Willow Nightingale, and Chicago's own Sky Blue. They went up against Athena, Mercedes Martinez, and Diamante, and it was the Face Squad winning the match in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Sky Blue getting the win in that matchup. And then we had the third match, as it was the Acclaim. Anthony Bowens, Matt Caster, and Billy Gunn putting the trio's title on the line against Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal, with Sanjay Dutt and Karen Jarrett in the ring, and along with the Acclaim and Daddy Ass, multi-time NBA champion for your Chicago Bulls and Detroit Pistons, the Worm, Dennis Rodman. And oh, by the way, Aubrey Edwards was the referee for the match. That was a special request by Billy Gunn, throwing the initial referee out, bringing Aubrey Edwards in. The way that the match ended, the Worm getting involved, using the guitar on Jeff Jarrett to lay him out, setting up the finish, and the Acclaim and Billy Gunn winning the match in 6 minutes. All right. So, starting off the actual show. First fight of the night was for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, as it was Adam Cole and MJF. They put the titles on the line against the Dark Order, and when it was all said and done, winner of the bout, 14 minutes and 5 seconds, still the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, better than you, baby, Adam Cole and Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. Solid opener. Pretty good matchup. I would say about maybe 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Good action, good wrestling. Outcome was never in doubt. Champions remain the champions. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. The crowd was invested in everything they were doing, which made the entire match more entertaining in the process. Adam Cole and MJF successfully defended the titles and opened the show with an entertaining performance. Just going to leave it at that. So 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star for me. Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, 3.5, 3 3/4 for me as well. I mean, a solid opener to start off all out. I mean, yeah, the outcome was never in doubt, but the Dark Order definitely gave Adam Cole and MJF all they can handle, but the outcome was never in doubt. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Fletch.
All right. With that said, the next thing we had was Samoa Joe going up against Shane Taylor for the World Television title of Ring of Honor, winner of the bout, and still champion in 6 minutes and 25 seconds, Samoa Joe. Anthony, it is yours.
2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. Fun little be a man fight here. These are two guys who pride themselves on being versatile powerhouses, so we saw more than just punches and slams in this bout. They used a wide variety of offense to inflict damage. After a great fight, Samoa Joe was able to secure the win by submission to retain his title. This match wasn't too long, but it was just long enough to accomplish what they wanted to do. This was the definition of big, meaty men slapping meat. No doubt about that. So, this was 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. And Michael Bullock, Samoa Joe, he did it the only way we know how. Our favorite, the one submission hold name that we love more than any other, the Coquita Clutch.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it, with the Coquita Clutch. But yeah, for the time it did get, I mean, this was yes, it was only 6.5 minutes, but in that amount of time, we saw something good with these two. So yeah, 2.5 stars. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, 2.5 stars. Solid matchup. Could it have been better? Yeah, but I'm cool with it. So nothing more to say. Next up, we had was Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin. The TNT title on the line. Luchasaurus wins it in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Michael Bullock, man, this fight was tough to watch, especially that ending, man. That was very rough to watch. That was bad. I'm praying for Darby Allin, man, because that looked scary.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. I mean, especially the ending. That was, I mean, you can only hope and pray that Darby Allin is going to be all right. But man, Luchasaurus, I mean, yeah, Christian Cage, I mean, he unleashed. I mean, we already knew Luchasaurus was that dangerous, but now he's even more scarier, especially with Christian Cage by his side. You know he's going to allow him to do whatever the hell he wants. And what he did to Darby Allin, I'll say it, Fletch. What Luchasaurus did was pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, and borderline reprehensible. I mean, but then again, I'm not going to say in front of Luchasaurus's face because he probably would break every single bone in my body.
Oh yeah.
And that is something I do not want to happen. So that's why I'm saying it right here and not in front of Luchasaurus. So yeah, for this match, yeah, it was 12, but I can only give this about maybe 3 stars, 2.5 to 3. So, man, I don't know what else is there to say. Fletch, I mean, I'm hoping and praying Darby Allin is all right. And the thing is, I do not want to mess with Luchasaurus right now with the way he is, especially when you got that CLB Christian Cage by his side.
Yeah. And the thing was, Christian Cage was giving them the orders to destroy him, to do everything that he could. And there was a moment where Darby looked like he was going to win the title, and then Christian Cage kind of hung Nick Wayne out to dry here, where he basically dared him. He's like, it's either your friend gets it, or what are you going to do? Save your friend or go for the title? That was the mistake because it opened the door for Luchasaurus to destroy Darby Allin, and that finishing sequence just was like an oh my god. There was nothing more to say on this. 2.5 to 3, 3 stars I'll give it, but man, that was tough to watch, to say the very least. So nothing more to say, and yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, and yeah, this almost wasn't a match. It was a mauling. It's hard to remember the last time Darby Allin spent this much time being put through the ringer before he made a comeback. The challenger eventually found his second win, but he was immediately flattened when he tried to dive into Luchasaurus and made almost no impact other than his own body hitting the mat. The match was more competitive after that, but it was still mostly Luchasaurus controlling the pace while Darby Allin would get in short bursts of offense. Christian threatened to hit Nick Wayne with a chair to distract Darby Allin long enough for Luchasaurus to hit 2 tombstones and a clothesline for the win. 3.25. I think that's the best I can go on this one. So with that, we move on to the next match.
That was the Redeemer, Miro, going 1-on-1 with Powerhouse Hobbs, winner of the bout in 15 minutes and 40 seconds via submission. Was Miro. But after the match is over, Powerhouse Hobbs tried to get the upper hand, only for a surprise, as it was CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana. She's now All Elite, but if you're Miro, You're not happy. I've forsaken you, God. I've forsaken my wife. And now she shows up? Oh, boy. This is going to get a little interesting. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
What was the time of the fall?
1540.
I'll go as far as to call this the sleeper fight of the night here. I mean, you think two big guys here, you would think it was going to be a slow, plodding, boring fight. Oh no, it was not. It was the opposite. I might be overrating this, but I don't care. Solid 4 stars. And my sleeper fight of the night. These guys are relatively evenly matched in size, power, and speed, so neither competitor was able to control the other for too long before the tide shifted. Much like the match with Samoa Joe and Shane Taylor for the Ring of Honor television title, this match was the epitome of big, meaty men slapping meat. If Big E was watching this show, he was having a great time. Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro did a great job pacing themselves, but there were moments when it felt like the crowd was just waiting for the next move to happen, because AEW action is usually so fast-paced. However, when they got going, the crowd woke up again. Miro and Hobbs are going to wake up with they definitely woke up with some bruises the next morning, but it would have been worth it for this match. After a long battle that saw both men take each other to the limit, Miro made Hobbs tap out to get the win. This was outstanding from start to finish. They shook hands to a standing ovation at the end, but Hobbs attacked Miro before he could leave the ring. CJ Perry, alias Lana, made her AEW debut to save her husband with a steel chair, allowing Miro to recover and take him out. However, Miro seemed unhappy to see her and left the ring while she looked on confused. I heard some interesting tidbits here that that Lana CJ Perry is only there for like a short-term thing here, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that's the rumblings I've heard, so let's try not to get too far into that. But solid 4 stars, sleeper fight of the night, pleasant surprise, far more entertaining than it had any right to be whatsoever. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, you think big man fight? You're thinking, it's going to be a slow, boring, plodding fight. Ugh. Oh no, these two brought it and then some. 4 stars, sleeper fight of the night.
I'll give it 3.5 to 4 on this one. I mean, this turned out to be much better than what I expected. I mean, great work by both Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, and yeah, good to see CJ Perry, aka Lana, as part of all AEW. So, like you said, I mean, it could be a short-term thing, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. I mean, especially how this whole thing develops. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
All right. Next up, we did have was the TBS title on the line. The champion, Chris Statlander versus the challenger, Ruby Soho. And it was Chris Statlander winning the match in 12 minutes and 25 seconds. So, Michael Bullock, it is yours.
I'll give this about maybe 3 stars on this one, but I mean, Chris Statlander, I mean, she did win this, but who did she get an assist from?
An unexpected assist, Tony Storm. And I know we didn't do a preview show on this, but Michael Bullock, you texted me the other night saying, I believe I had this one. You mentioned it to me in one of our chats. I guess I was, it must have slipped my mind, I guess.
Yeah, I told Florio this where during one of our chats, I said when I heard of this, I'm like thinking, why do I get this feeling that Chris Statler's going to win because Tony Storm's going to have something to say in this? And lo and behold, that's what we got here. So I called this one. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think, yeah, there continues to be problems here, but maybe it's now Tony Storm is probably distancing herself from the Outcast now. So I can't wait to see what happens with this this whole thing. Maybe tomorrow night. because I'm sure Soraya and Ruby Soho are going to demand answers from Tony Storm. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, I'll say that too. I'll say about 2.5 to 3. I think it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, um, incredible. Like we said, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out down the line. And yeah, so next up we had was Brian Danielson versus Ricky Starks in a no disqualification strap match. Winner of the bout in 22 minutes and 40 seconds was actually what did Anthony, did you ever get a chance to talk about the Statlander fight?
I don't think I did, or did
Oh,
I?
I apologize. I jumped the gun there. So
No.
yeah, no, I jumped the gun. So
We're excited here. We're
oh yeah, we're
it
gonna be.
happens. Hey, it happens. Yep, it happens. I mean, how many times have I done that to one of you guys? Get ahead of myself. So
I say my rating was what? So Anthony, you got your final say. You can go.
this may have been the only women's match on the main pay-per-view card, but the champion and the challenger. Well, actually, no. Let me back that up. You could tell Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho were looking to make an impression because they were not taking it easy on each other in the slightest. It may have been the only women's match on the main show, but the champion and challenger made sure nobody would forget it. This was physical, fun, and a great display of what makes both women unique in-ring talents. Ruby hit No Future from the top rope, followed by Destination Unknown, but Statlander kicked out at 2, and then Tony Storm appeared from under the ring and appeared to help Statlander retain the title, much to the surprise of Soraya and Ruby Soho. 3.25, 3.5. That's I mean, that's the best we can go on this. So all right, MF, now we can move on to the no disqualification strap match. Absolute Ricky Starks against the returning American Dragon Brian Danielson with Hall of Famer and one of our all-time personal favorites. Michael Bullock is this man to my Ric Flair, the one and only Ricky the Dragon Steamboat on commentary.
Yeah, no, this was wild, man. First off, I'm gonna go as far to say this was one of the fight of the night. This was 4 to 4.5 stars. This was an amazing matchup. Brian Danielson does get the win by technical submission. It was bloody. It was violent. I did not think a strap match was going to cause blood, and it did. This was an excellent matchup. I'm happy. I'm proud. This is excellent. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
22 what?
22-40.
This was the fight of the night. 4.5 to 4.75 of a star. You can make an argument for 5 if you wanted to, but this match was one of the most physical on the entire show. They put each other through hell to give us something memorable. But the blood almost started to take away from the bout after a little while because Brian Danielson was bleeding before the match even started. Big Bill and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat got involved toward the end, but it did little to impact the outcome. Once he was back in control, the American Dragon choked Ricky Starks out with the strap to win the match. Incredible match here. Like I said, special guest commentator, the legendary Hall of Famer, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He looks good. He looks good for 70. I'm telling you right now, he looks damn good for 70. Like he looks like he could still go to this day. That's how good he looks. NMF. One notable observation that I absolutely had to get off. I have to get off my chest here. Brian, it's so great that Brian Danielson can use one of our favorite songs, "The Final Countdown" by Europe. Oh, for his entrance music for bigger shows. I mean, if that doesn't get you pumped up, tell me what the hell does, because I got into that, man. Let me tell you, because MF, you and I know Final Countdown. That's one of our all-timers. We love that song. So,
it goes back because, like Excalibur also said, that's the theme for the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons of the 1990s, and was relocated thanks to my boy Mason, during the days of the Ben Wallace, uh, Rashid, yep,
Rasheed,
Rashid
Rasheed, Ben
Wallace.
Wallace. I remember. I know that
You
starting
know
five
the
like the back
boys.
of my hand.
You know the
And,
boys.
and and don't forget one of the things that other players when he said it's Antonio McNick D McDice.
Yep,
Ugh.
you got it.
Ben and Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups. How
Or
do you not know that starting?
Chauncey Billups.
All right, all right, all right.
Folks getting
So,
into it,
yeah, I know.
but
So,
that's okay.
yeah.
I mean the sound of the strap hitting Ricky Stark's back was so loud.
Oh,
And Brian Danielson took some hard shots from the strap to the face and just asked for more. I mean, everything about this was perfect, and it's definitely worth fighting the night contention honors. There's another match that I'm considering putting up there as well, but 4.5 to 4.75 of a star. Fantastic match. Everything was just perfect about it, and I'll never get tired of hearing Final Countdown for that entrance theme. Oh, I can't wait to hear it again. So, not much more to say. Michael Bullock, what a strap match, man. I mean, our boy, Mr. Yes Man, Brian Danielson, gets it done against Absolute Ricky Starks. But Absolute Ricky Starks, say what you want about him, but he may have lost, but I think he gained a lot in defeat, and he looked like $1 million on Sunday night.
Oh, he definitely did. I mean, especially after a match like this. But damn, so good to see Brian Danielson back in the ring after that injury. And guys, let's not forget the last time Brian Danielson was in a strap match. Who was it against?
What was that, Bullock? I got a little sidetracked.
I mean, the last time Brian Danielson was in a strap match, who was his opponent?
Oh yes, the late great Bray Wyatt, Royal Rumble 2020 Universal Championship.
Yeah, so he used that experience in this match. I mean, but man, oh man, the blood and the way the straps. I mean, it was sounded coming off each opponent, especially Ricky Starks. Man, that was just so freaking awesome. So, 4.5 stars, fight of the night, no doubt about it. So it's yours, Fletch.
all right. Next up, we had was a tag team fight: Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta versus Eddie Kingston and Kazutori Shibata. Winner of the bout, 15 minutes and 55 seconds, was Blackpool Combat Club. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Right outcome, of course, because of my affiliation and my love of these guys. Let me tell you, Yuta and Wheeler Yuta and Shibata have issues that go back months, but Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli have hated each other for years. MF, you know that story better than we do.
Oh, yeah.
So this match was personal on both sides of both partnerships. Even though we saw a few different styles of wrestling represented by these four competitors, all of them were making sure that every strike had a little extra on it. The hatred between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli helped drive the story of this bout, but the physical action was also good enough to make everyone pay attention. Tags started to feel meaningless after a little while, but that's not uncommon in AEW because the referees are supposed to have discretion when it comes to that kind of thing. This match had comedy, drama, hard-hitting strikes, and just about everything you could want out of a match, built on animosity instead of accolades. BCC picked up the win after Claudio hit a huge uppercut on Eddie Kingston to get the win. 3.5 to 3.75 of a star for this. So, not much more to say here. Michael Bullock score another one for the BCC as Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta take to knock off Eddie Kingston and Shibata.
Yeah, another big win here for the Blackpool Combat Club in this one. So, yeah, I enjoyed this match. So 3.5, 3.75. So nothing else to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, pretty good. Three and a quarter, 3.5. That's my rating as well. Now we do move on to the next bout of the evening, as it was Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. Konosuke Takeshita winning the match 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh man, Michael Bullock. Wow.
Man, what a match this was. I mean, yeah, I'm going to give this another 4.5 on this one. I mean, this was a match I certainly enjoyed here. I mean, when you got two guys like Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita winning it, I mean, in this one, I mean, yes, I mean, Konosuke won, but to me, you got to give it to both men. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
This could have gone a number of different ways, but they finally gave us a match that was absolutely just amazing. So for me, yeah, I totally agree. Konosuke Takeshita gets the win. Tremendous performance more than anything else. And yeah, I mean, I could honestly say without a doubt, um, this deserves the fight of the night level. You could even make an argument for 5. I mean, that is exactly what you can go with. 4.5 to 4 3/4. Nothing more to say. My goodness, what a night, what a match. So, Anthony, it's yours.
While this match had one or two missteps, it was also one of the best bouts on the entire show. In fact, for many people, it'll probably be the fight of the night. After several close 2 counts, Takeshita ended up getting what many would call an upset win when he hit a huge knee strike. So, no question about it. So, 4.5 to 4 3/4 of a star. You could certainly make an argument for 5 here. We wouldn't be mad at you if you did. So, not much more to say. MF, we move on to 8-man tag team action.
All right, 8-man tag team action. It was Bullet Club Gold versus FTR and the Young Bucks. Bullet Club Gold wins it. 21 minutes, 35 seconds. The Bucks and FTR just could not coexist, Anthony, and it cost them dearly.
Yes, it did. All, the Chicago crowd was quite vocal, which everyone expected going into this show. All 8 of these men have been important to the tag team division in recent months, but it felt like their efforts were being overshadowed by the crowd's desire to boo the Young Bucks at different times. This match was fine for what it was, but 8-man tag bouts are always hard to manage. You have to make sure everyone gets some time in the ring without making it look like they are rushing from person to person. Shockingly, Bullet Club Gold continued its winning ways by scoring the victory over FTR and the Bucks. This match may have been too chaotic to follow at times, but it was still a good showing for all 8 men. I'm going to give this about 4 to 4.25 stars. Bullock has left us for the night, so MF, back to you.
All right. Well, there's only one match left. It's unfortunate that he left early, but it is Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, the international title on the line. Winner of the bout in 19 minutes and 50 seconds, and the new AEW International Champion, Jon Moxley. Tremendous main event. Good battle. Great fight. But hey, history made, unprecedented crowning. I'm happy with the outcome. Congratulations to the new champion. 3.5 to 3 3/4. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. This was all right. It didn't take long for Jon Moxley to draw first blood by busting OC's head open on the announce table. It was a deep cut, so Cassidy was wearing a crimson mask within minutes. This was obviously intentional and designed to make Orange Cassidy into an even bigger underdog than he already was. And for the most part, it worked. The longer this match went, the more Mox punished the champion by attacking his head. You know, he did everything he could to come back and hang with him, but he managed to kick out of the Death Rider, which rarely happens. But Mox hit a second one to get the win and become the new international champion. The way they told the story of this bout was why it worked. The wrestling was good, but the drama and action surrounding it helped elevate it to another level. Both guys did an excellent job playing to their strengths. this is another. This was another 4.25, 4.5 star bout. So there isn't anything left for me to add on to this. So overall review here. MF, you gave your thoughts, right?
Yeah, 4.25, 4.5.
Okay. After everything that happened with CM Punk over the last week, AEW needed exactly this kind of show to get the company back on the right track. We saw several memorable matches and moments, a few star-making performances, and a few surprising outcomes. Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley definitely told the most satisfying story, but Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita may have had the better showing from a purely technical perspective. All Out is one of AEW's signature events, and the Chicago crowd always shows up ready to make its voice heard. Now that Jon Moxley has the International Championship, it's going to be interesting to see if he defends it as often as Orange Cassidy or if he makes people earn title shots more often. A solid 9 to I think solid 9 is the best I can give this pay-per-view. A very good show coming off of which I still think All In was a smidgen better, but this show was just as good. So solid 9 out of 10 for me. MF, take it home.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5 to 9. I think they did a really good job with it. I think they could have gone a little better, but it is fine for what it was worth. Incredible night, incredible action, and now it leads us to the start of the National Football League season. You heard me right, guys. Game number 1, opening night from Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. The reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs takes on the Detroit Lions. And, if the game didn't need any more drama, boy, did we get hit with one today. Travis Kelce is now a game-time decision. He hyperextended his knee, and we now do not know if Kelce will go tomorrow night for this game, and we are going to have to figure it out. We will find out more or less. So here's the breakdown before we get into anything else. The game will be held on NBC. The commentators for the game, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. And Anthony, is it Melissa Stark now that does sideline? Just want to know.
I'm almost certain it is, yes.
Okay. Kansas City, 5.5-point favorite. The over-under, just for you folks, if you like to gamble, 53.5. Like we said, Travis Kelce has been listed as questionable with a hyperextended knee. We do not know if he's going to go or not. Some people are saying he might be out at least 2 to 4 weeks. If that's the case, we don't know. But I will say this. The line has been dropping. At first, the line was at 6 for Kansas City. And as of now, it's been 5.5. It went as low as 4 when word got out that this is happening. If Kelce cannot go, this might swing my prediction. Going in, I had Kansas City winning regardless. But if Kelce can't go, that might be enough for the pendulum to swing, where I might actually go with Detroit for the upset on opening night. But I am going to say Kansas City to win. I think with the defense, obviously the defense with Chris Harris, Chris Jones, I should say, sounds like he's not playing. If he doesn't go, that's one major loss on the defensive side. If Kelce cannot go, that's your number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Detroit had a great close to the season, winning 8 out of their last 10, having a great run, and now you had a really good offense that was actually a top 10 offense in run and pass last year with Jared Goff, with Amon St. Brown, with the running attack. And now they got Chris Montgomery from the Chicago Bears to solidify their run attack. But the one little problem that they had was they were near the bottom with the defense last year, where Kansas City's D. Hold on. I apologize. I knew the sneeze was coming. I felt it. So I apologize. So I think Kansas City's defense is better than Detroit's D. So that's why I think Kansas City is going to win the game. But I will say, and I'm going to caution this, very, very close. Monitor the report heading into the game. If Kelsey does not go, this could swing in a whole different direction. So with that said, Anthony Florio, it is yours. I think Anthony's just waiting to get his notes. So I'm just going to give him a moment just so that he can get his notes ready, because I know he gets a lot of different notes for these games.
What is what is the latest spread on this, MF?
Right now I got, as of now, 5.5 for Kansas City. But like I said, that spread's been dropping like on the hour. It's right now at 5.5. But I saw something earlier today that it was going down to 4. But Kansas City is the favorites.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I just wanted to be absolutely sure on that. So, all right. So it's a 5.5 right now. Yep. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, the announce team. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Thursday night. Chiefs hang up the Super Bowl banner. Kansas City leads the all-time series 9-5. Kansas City's won the last 2 meetings. Their last meeting was 2019 in Detroit. Kansas City won a wild one, 34-30 at Ford Field. Kansas City also won in 2015. These two teams played in London. Kansas City all over Detroit on that day, 45-10. Detroit last beat Kansas City in 2011. That was in Detroit, a 48-3 beatdown. And you're wondering, have the Lions ever won in Arrowhead? Answer is yes, but only once. You got to go all the way back to 1988 for that Lion victory in Kansas City. And you want to know what the final score of that game was? We don't often hear this score in an NFL game. 7-6. That's it. So there's that's that. So okay. There's plenty of playoff hype around the Detroit Lions as NFC North favorites, stamped by them even playing in this primetime season opener. But this won't be like that classic Jared Goff-Patrick Mahomes duel from 2018. MF, you remember we had that one? Oh, man, what a game that was.
Yeah, that was epic. That was epic.
Greatest regular season game we ever did, bar none. The Lions' defense is improved, but not ready to slow down Mahomes and the champions out of the gate. Mahomes manufactures more pop around him in the passing game than Goff to make the difference. And the Lions have over-the-top hype, and it's okay to be cautious knowing the franchise has one playoff victory since 1991. This is a good team, however, and they were 8-3 against the spread as an underdog last season. Jared Goff, however, was not nearly as good on the road, an 87.4 rating in 2022. The defending Super Bowl champion is 14-4 straight up in the NFL kickoff game. Patrick Mahomes keeps the Chiefs ahead, and they hold off a Lions rally. I'm going to go with Kansas City to win as well, with or without Travis Kelce. 31-24, Kansas City defeats Detroit. MF, we got to sit down and set our crews in a little bit, so for our side anyway, and so we can set it up for Friday. So 31-24, Kansas City wins, and we will have a recap of this game Friday night as part of our season premiere of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. So with all that being said, MF, hit them up with the rest of that reshuffled content.
All right, so tomorrow, now everything goes back to normal now. So tomorrow night is Wednesday Night Madness. 10:30, we got AEW Dynamite. We got NXT. So that's on Wednesday. Thursday, we have is TXN Sports World College Football Thursday, as we will recap, well, not really recap, but preview week 2 of the action. But boy, do we gotta talk about some teams that happened this week. And of course, the big one, Alabama, Texas, the rematch. The 5-star that went down a year ago, will it live up to the hype again? We'll find out. Then Friday, the premiere of NFL Friday. Of course, as we will recap night 1 of the first game, Kansas City versus Detroit, and then give you the rest of the docket for week 1 of the National Football League. And then Saturday, it's Cerebral Smack Talk, as we got SmackDown, we got AEW Collision, and we do it all over again on Monday night. We're ridiculously raw. So thank you, Anthony Florio. Thank you, everybody. And until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow night for another edition of College Football Thursday on YouTube and StreamYard.com. So long, everybody.
Wednesday Night Madness tomorrow night. Goodbye.
You got it.